All right, St. Louis, we're going to go to school today. You know, St. Louis, we've been playing games lately. Not necessarily games, it's just that we hadn't went for the throat, St. Louis. In order to bring darkness to its knees, we got to go for the throat. I want you to take time and think about Flight, Orville, and Wilbur Wright, the Wright brothers. Think about trains and planes. Think about telescopes, think about computers, think about so many different technologies that we created over the years. And just imagine if we can reach a higher level of intelligence to where we are capable of creating something far beyond what we created. What would happen if we had the ability to create something that was capable of taking us light years into the future? Just think about autonomous cars. Nobody thought about autonomous cars. Nobody thought about electricity back in the day. But what happens if we now have the level of intellect right now that will enable us to literally create or come up with the unified field of everything? In other words, Einstein and those astrophysicists and physicists were trying to find out about gravitational, electromagnetic, weak, and nuclear strong force. But what happens if we, in the 21st century, bring the 25th century down to earth right now in the 21st century? That means that if a person can literally project out to the 25th century and come into the 21st century now, that person will be so far ahead of this lie to where it can subsequently bring in things that many knew not of. The question is, how do we do that? Many of you don't realize that everything is relative to the observer. In other words, I'm driving the car, you're driving the car, somebody in which you're seeing in the video is driving the car. But what we never realize is that we all are operating with different levels of mind. Some of us are in the inertial frame of reference, but we don't know that we are. But if we were, we would be thinking totally different, because we would be seeing in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th dimension. In other words, we'll be looking at things with a different set of eyes in different frames. Many technologies, computer cameras are 50 to 60 frames. What happens if you have the ability to reach 1 trillion frames right now? That means that you will literally be able to measure the position and the velocity of an object, and that will enable you to be able to create things in which most people are incapable of creating because they have not the mind to see. In other words, in order to be able to warp space and time at absolute zero minus friction and heat, you must have a strong mind. No different than a computer. A computer that operates at analog can't process as deep as 5G. And what happens if we had the ability to go as deep as 5 billion G right now in the 21st century? If that takes place, that will enable us to be able to build something that we didn't know was even capable. Not only will we build something that we didn't know was capable, we would be able to see and create in ways in which many never knew was capable of being created. That will enable us to leave the earth magnetic field and go deeper into truth, which is all the way to what they call the number 8 planet, which is Neptune, made up of helium and hydrogen. But what many believe is that Neptune and the rest of the planets are outside you, but yet they're in your mind. You're encoding them. And the reason you don't know that you're encoding them because you can only see at the level of 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time. You fail to realize that everything is curled up in one big bundle, but yet you have not the ability to know, because before you can untangle the distorted view, it has already collapsed. So you don't know there is a distorted view to untangle. I'm one to believe that all in which we've been taught, unfortunately, have led us astray and caused us to believe in false signs and wonders and false doctrine. The time has come, which is today and not tomorrow, for us to say all or nothing, because if we don't take it to the level in which we need to take it, everything will remain the same, because we're actually traveling down the wide gate that leads to destruction. All appears to be working, and many of you are pleased and most of you are not, but yet you can't do anything about it until you have the mind to make a change. We must say all or nothing. We must bring the 25th, 26th century into the 21st century by way of mind. And as a result of bringing it by way of mind, we can create the technology that will enable us to be able to see beyond what we were capable of seeing. Many of you might not understand me, but I'm quite certain some of you do understand. But we must say all or nothing, because if we don't, we're going to continue to die of heart disease, strokes, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, all kinds of assaults, murder, rape, and pillage. However, if we come to the realization of what we never knew and start building right now, we can change the trajectory of hell on earth and bring heaven, which is space at absolute zero minus friction and heat, which will allow you to be able to see the world in an inertia frame of reference. And as a result, you will be able to see things as you never knew was possible. The time is not tomorrow. The time is today. I've already decided. I don't have nothing to lose, St. Louis. I'll be 60 years old here soon. And I feel like I'm just getting started. So time for me to go ahead and start that new chapter. And that's to bring the 25th, 26th, 27th century into the future. So stay tuned, St. Louis. Buckle your seats, your seatbelt. Ain't no shame in my game. Darkness has been ruling long enough. So it's time for us to say that what they called us at one time, Stephen Hawking said there must be aliens out there. Why come the aliens are not talking to us? What he failed to realize is the aliens are not there. The aliens are us with a highly developed mind in which many people can't function well enough to understand that you're talking about your developed self. Can we do it? Does it snow in St. Louis in the wintertime? You're damn right we can do it. Time is not tomorrow, time is today. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. That's all I'm saying. Stay tuned. God bless. It's time, St. Louis. It's time.